Welcome to AI Innovation Allies, the ultimate hub for cutting-edge AI insights. Join us as we collaborate, innovate, and elevate the world of AI. Oz and the Diva dive deep with AI experts as they share pioneering insights and groundbreaking industry innovations. Explore our tutorials and reviews to elevate your projects with the latest AI tools and techniques. Discover transformative AI collaborations through compelling case studies and real-world applications. Engage in community challenges, workshops, and webinars designed to fuel your passion for AI. Stay with us for the latest AI news updates and a peek behind the scenes into the dynamic world of AI. Together, let's shape the future of AI. Subscribe, collaborate, and be part of the revolution.
Data mining your AI transcripts from conversations to clarity. Welcome. We're going to show you how to find some gold in your existing data that you already have and how to use it and leverage it. So, who here uses note takers? Everybody? Most of you? Meet Geek, Read AI, Fathom, whatever your flavor is. Think about the knowledge that's in those transcripts. You know, knowledge is power. Probably have all heard that before, but the reality is few of us use that data we're sitting on. And we don't use it for intelligence. We don't use it as a thought partner. We don't use it to question us ourselves. I'm going to go through some of these scenarios to give you some ideas how to leverage it. But you're really sitting on gold. And most founders don't use it at all. They're just collecting it for what? I don't know. But instead of walking away with scattered notes when you have a meeting, what if you mined your transcripts to become a suite of always-on strategic tools? Plus, you can pay attention to the call at hand. There's nothing like actually being present. I had a lunch meeting today, and I brought my little Applaud unit with me, which is a recording device. And I said, do you mind if I record this transcript? Mainly because I don't want to disrupt you and have to write down notes. I'm going to miss what you're saying. And honestly, I'm a little old, so I forget stuff. It happens. But you can also use them to spot your blind spots. They're capturing everything you need from sales data to advisor to directors to task managers, knowledge managers, even capturing emotions and sentiments too. So you could say to one of your note takers, like, were they in a good mood? Did they seem excited when I mentioned this? And it'll tell you what was going on at that time. And I'll demonstrate some of this for you in a second. So this is a demo-driven session where you'll learn how to turn meetings into usable business intelligence, surface what prospects and clients are really thinking, capture every decision, commitment, and risk, as well as how to leverage AI to gain better insights, even pressure test your assumptions before you're making big decisions. And I'll talk about some crit technology from Jeff Woods as well down the road. But think about your data differently. Data really is power. So, never lose their commitment again. I use Fathom for tools and to-dos all the time to remind me of what I'm responsible for and what other people are responsible for. So I might have a meeting with my marketing director and I'll ask for a list of to-dos. I use Fathom, just my choice. Any of you are familiar with Fathom, you can take the whole summary and just take whatever it gives it to you, but it decides what it gives you. And if you notice here, I have 5 to-dos, 3 for me and 2 for Katie, right? But if I ask it, what are the to-dos list? I've done this before, so you're going to find out it's going to show me 6, and I'll tell you why it does that, and there's 6 of them. It picks out what it thinks. It's predictive, right? So it thinks these are the important things based off of the information. But there was a total of 6 things. It's not really there to tell me what is important to me or not. But at least now I have a list. So if a day or two before my meeting, I can go back, pull up a transcript or pull up a Fathom meeting, and I can go through and see what we talked about. What was I supposed to have done and hurry up and get it done before the meeting? Because that's usually how I fly. Go to the next one. So turn sales calls into revenue. Most people rely on gut feeling and memory after a sales call. This is huge for salespeople. but you're really leaving money on the table. AI transcripts running turns everything or every conversation into a structured data set, a sales strategy you can actually learn from, like buyer hesitation, hidden objections, budget indicators, competitive mentions. We're going to go into one here on a buyer hesitation signal. I'm going to copy my prompt because I can. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask Fathom on this one with Dan Guerra. What were the budget indicators and competitive mentions? Or were there any? And based on the meeting transcript, there were no specific mentions of budget indicators, competitive information. The discussion focused more on Steve's AI readiness assessment, process, pricing model, and approach. However, um, we can go into it by clicking the link as well.
Let's take this. You call me up or I call you. Your first sort of step is, hey.
So not only will it take you to the spot, but it'll also play that spot where it happened. At least Fathom does. I would imagine Read AI, all of them do the same thing. Budget indicators, which is what I should have clicked in the first place. Any day. So here, Mark mentioned he hasn't thought of a specific budget number, but the cost he discussed was 6 to 12,000 per month for services. So if I'm looking for something specific, I could dig in and find it. If I just want the summary and I just want to read through the summary, I have it. I can export it in Fathom anyway, and I'm sure all of them. You could copy the link and share it. You could share the data. But the point is, this is power. I mean, this is pure gold right here because I can go back. This happens to be a client I'm looking to close. And I questioned myself the other day, like, man, did I charge him maybe or recommend I want to charge him maybe a little bit much on the readiness assessment? After we had a conversation, what did I really say to the guy? And I basically went back and looked at it and I had given him the range and I priced him in that range. So I really am okay in what I did. But, I was kind of at night wondering, did I do the right thing? Did I like piss this guy off? I haven't heard from him yet because I didn't price him the way I told him I was going to price him. Who knows? So use AI as a thought partner. Imagine having a mentor, a coach in your pocket. Ask how AI can help you. Test me. How you can help you find your blind spots. I don't know what the rest of you all, but I use my ChatGPT on my phone version. If I open up chat and I have long conversations. Hi, Chloe.
Acknowledged. Forward thinking, no sugarcoating, and probing blind spots. I'll proceed accordingly. Let's dive right in. I'll keep things direct and
Okay,
constructive.
you don't have to tell me the instructions every time. Thank you, though. So tell me, like, what we talked about when we were discussing my POV. What did I give you for rules and instructions on that?
Your established POV guidelines. Here's a direct summary of the rules and instructions you provided regarding your point of view. Be direct and honest. You emphasize that I should deliver information without sugarcoating, so responses should be straightforward and candid. Encouraging and forward thinking. You asked for an encouraging tone that also looks ahead and
Okay,
focused.
stop. Thank you. But the point I want to show is I'm not going to remember exactly. I know generally what I told her. I told her to look for my blind spots. I told her to ask me hard questions. Again, that data is power, just like in chat. Same thing here. So it helps you find your blind spots. This is some technology from Jeff Woods, the AI-driven leader book. I don't know if any of you have it or have read it. If you haven't, I highly recommend this book. And I'm not saying he's like a guru to me or anything like that, but he's a pretty smart dude. And he really helps you leverage AI as a thought partner. Like, for instance, you can set it up to where you have a whole board that you can lean on and have different positions for each one, give them different personas, give them different backgrounds and information. This crit technology, and I'll put this prompt in the chat. If I could find the chat. I think there it is. Chat. I'll put this link in the chat, and you could check out the crit technology. It's a way of questioning, what you're thinking about maybe doing. So, for instance, it's like context, role, interview, and task. Describe the situation. Describe the type of person you want AI to be, what the persona is. Interview me and tell AI to interview you asking 3 to 5 questions one at a time and dig deeper in the context. Describe the task you want AI to complete. Your task is to highlight the top 3 areas of your plan, whatever it is. But play with this because if you go down here, you can start asking these questions. You fill it in, it'll give you a prompt, and that prompt will walk you through getting through your problem. I'll tell you, it's like having a bunch of people that are all board members right in your back pocket. It's really awesome. Good technology, and it's a really good prompt. Okay, so it's not just about transcripts. How about historical data? How about old documents, old sales records, old invoices, old information you have in your systems? What about mining that data? How about one of my prospects had 40,000 proposals? They do 100 proposals a year. They've been in business 40 years. They said, how can we go through and utilize some of that data and gather it? And I started going off on, oh man, that's gold. You're talking my business right now. There are things like Claude, which I showed you before, which are, recording devices like this one. Well, maybe you can see it if I put it in front of my face. And these, I've gotten up to 5, 6 hours on mine, and it was like $99, pretty cheap. They also have ones like on your belt or watches, ones that go on your neck from Limitless. Like you ever watch Survivor or some of those other shows that have those little things around their neck? Those are microphones in there. That's, could be a recording device instead. So as a small business owner, you're the institutional knowledge. We all know we are, right? When we are unavailable or overwhelmed, that knowledge doesn't transfer automatically. So start thinking about AI transcript mining. Let's build a living, searchable business memory that grows with you. Maybe like build a notebook LM database for your sales team or a vendor management or client database. I happen to use Zapier, a Zap I created that takes every one of my Fathom transcripts when my meeting ends and dumps a copy into my folder so I can leverage this data and use it. I can get my mouse to work. There's hundreds and hundreds of them in here, not thousands. But I also use this data. I said, gee, I'm having trouble closing sales deals. What's going on? I took 10 sales calls, put them in a folder, and I asked Chat, I said, can you tell me why I'm not closing deals? Am I not presenting properly? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Help me understand why I'm not closing deals. And it came back and said, people love you and they trust you. They like you and they trust you implicitly. They know that you're competent and you know what you're talking about and they respect you for that. But they cannot articulate what you do to their coworker. Instantly told me my messaging is off. I was going in saying, oh man, we protect governance and ethics and guardrails, and we're going to get your AI implemented properly. And people were like, I don't know what any of that means because I'm not in, credentialing or in regulatory area. So now I say more like, we're going to help you mitigate risk and cut your exposure while implementing your AI smoothly and efficiently. And now they can go back and say, oh, he's an AI implementer. They get it. But I learned that I gained that knowledge by leveraging my data. Don't worry, we're gonna make it on time. How much time do I have? 3 minutes?
About another 10 minutes.
All right, I'll be done before 10 minutes. So use tools. This one happens to be Humantic.ai. There's also Evie AI, but use tools if you're in sales or you want to learn information about people. This is a plugin I installed called Humantic. It's $60 a year. Really not that expensive. Or maybe, no, I take it back. I think it was like $37 a month, maybe. It might have been like 37 bucks a month. But before I have a sales call, I get one of these snapshots sent to my email. So I know what kind of person they are. I know if they have any YouTube videos. I know their disc score. Gee, I'm the same as me. That's pretty cool. Insights, pattern interrupts, things that, what pace to speak with me, speak slightly fast and like it gets SHIT done person. Tone, tactics. I mean, all this is important information that if you have this and know it before you meet with that person, you can meet them at their level. So think what you do now. You're leveling the playing field, right? And like I said, this is EVAI is one of them from Jeff Applebaum, and that's one that I happen to use personally. Um, I'll go through this one real quick. This was a good friend of mine's wife's company who's looking to get her contacts constantly updated. And it depends on her clients. She has like 80 marketing reps that are in her database. So I had a conversation with her. Everything went great. That was on October 23rd. We still haven't closed this deal, but it's still live, by the way. I want you all to know. On the 27th, I basically followed up like, hey, what's going on? What do you think? What to do? Well, I kind of like to get my programmer involved. And, I don't want to get rid of him if I don't have to. And I'm like, great, let's get him on the phone. And on the 29th, we got him on the phone. And I basically, told him, look, we're not looking to get rid of you. If you can write the software, go ahead, man. This is one of my good friend's wives. It's cool. It turns out that she just really doesn't have the money to spend right now on what needs to be done for her business. But again, using the data that I have, I was able to prepare for each call that I made. We're getting to the real good one. This is my favorite one. You guys ready for the good stuff? Pay attention because it's going to get deep. I'm serious. Because there's some external thought process from my crazy brain going on here. So I put out an RFP for a bid for this company in California. I won't mention the company name. You'll see it anyway. But they gave me this RFP, and part of the RFP process is I can send them a list of questions, and they can respond with the answers. Like, if I don't understand something and I'm about to bid on it, I want to make sure I understand it properly before I send a bid price. So I get this letter back from Nicole. And basically, I told Chat, Nicole Bracey has opened and looked at my emails over 36 times. I have HubSpot. It tells you every time they open your email, which is good and bad because you can't tell them you know that. That's bad. The good part is they're interested because they're looking at it. And more than 12 times in the last few days, and we're meeting tomorrow. What is she looking for? What is she prepping for? Or better yet, help me prepare for what she may be thinking about based off the RFP. And I basically put in the questions back and forth. So it came back and says, Nicole's probably likely thinking about, does Steve really understand our world? She works in the governmental space, so it's really not my forte, and I was honest about that. I have a few governmental deals I've done. Is he practical or theoretical? Will he control risk or will he increase it? Is this the right personality fit? I mean, think about the insight I'm getting on this lady that I'm about to talk to the next day. Okay. What she may be preparing to ask you is governance depth, practical workflow examples, scope and budget, staff readiness. How should I prepare? Tell me, lead with risk mitigation. Speak their language. Bring 3 concrete examples of their firm type. So it goes through all these things to help me out. So I said, that's really cool, but I got an idea. What if, and here's where the brain comes in, what if I had Nicole or I had ChatGPT pretend to be Nicole and actually interview me, asking me the questions that ChatGPT thinks based off what I asked her, what she answered with, is actually thinking, because she kept looking at this document, the questions document. So, all right, let's get into it. Challenge my inner Nicole. That's Chloe speaking. So, Steve, imagine Nicole asked, I noticed you mentioned a lot about AI governance and guardrails. How exactly will you keep our firm ahead of the curve rather than slow us down? And from there, we can riff off on how you'd like to handle that. And I said, by having governance in place and guardrails, you're setting the tone for how AI will and will not be allowed to be used in your organization. Chloe says, that's right. I say this would be good for government contracts as well as it'll prove to them that you are under control with your data and security. Now, chat replies back. Exactly. That's a great example how to you could frame it as by having a governance structures in place, we're not just protecting the organization, we're also demonstrating to the government clients and regulated partners that we've got a really firm handle on data security and compliance. And I can go on forever. There's more and more. But what she did was I leveraged AI to question me as Nicole. So when I had the call with Nicole, I was ready. I think I did really well. I don't know, jury's still out on this deal. We'll find out. But I think I did really well. So the point is that leveraging AI is really the trick. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot this part. This came in after, and we're almost done. So I had sent an email to Nicole on the 27th of February saying, hey, kind of like, what's up? We getting a deal? We're not getting a deal? Did we win the bid? Didn't win the bid? What's the deal? She waits and replies to me at 9 o'clock on the 2nd of March. And basically, you know, I'm asking chat to figure out, well, what's really going on here? Is she sincere? Is she, she's telling me that she's been really busy and with travel and whatever. I'm like, is she blowing smoke or is she just the real deal? And so I get timing versus RFP line. It just reiterates what I already knew. They were supposed to award the contract on the 25th. They were supposed to start on March 2nd. Here it is, March 2nd. We've not even been awarded the bid. No one has. Language analysis, we're a little bit behind on the next steps. My fault, I've been traveling. This takes responsibility, gives plausible reason, and does not introduce new criteria or objections. The good stuff comes down here. What is this most likely about? Based on the timing and most probable scenarios, 40% they're having internal discussions. They have gridlock. 30% you're in the final two and they're just trying to decide on another consultant or you. 20% budget tension and 10% genuine travel delay. By the way, they gave a budget of 30 to 40 grand. I came in at 32. I thought was fair. And it goes on and on. Again, data is power. Learn how to migrate, how to use it and manage it and get it out of your systems. So let's look at the real world cases. Mining is not theory. Use it to improve close rates, detect churn risk, improve onboarding, and document processes. We all dabble in AI, but you can really get a little deeper. Just think outside the box. Think, how can it help me? What can it do for me? Is what you should always be asking it. What's your competitive edge? The difference between entrepreneurs who scale and those who plateau isn't talent, funding, or marketing. It's whether they build a learning system around their conventions. This is the gap that compounds quietly and dramatically over time. And every day you guys talk about revenue, risk, clients, problems, strategy, and vision. Those conversations are not noise, and neither are the answers. Leverage that data. Get some good insights. Oops. And if you want to reach me, that's how you can connect with us to begin your transformative journey. Any questions?